Is this thing on? All right. Here we go. Can you hear me? All right. Move that back a bit. Here we go. All right. Now, you know me. I'm Theodore the Magma Bear. And I've got a very important message for you all this morning. And, well, there's a very important date coming up. All right. Shall I get in the picture here too, Theodore? Ooh, everything's falling down. Never mind that. All right. Have you figured it out yet? Yeah. All right. I'm going to tell them my message now. Okay. You sure about this? Yes. Okay. Well, now we've got a very.
You've gone blurry.
Oh dear.
Oh, you're back to normal now.
I'm back to normal. All right. Well, it's Saturday morning. Everybody's a bit blurry on Saturday morning. Now we've got a very important date coming up. A big election, and you got two candidates there. And well, I just want you to think about which one is going to make America Great Britain again. Oh, who's this? Look at that. There's Dale down there. Hi, Dale. Can you hear me?
Can you hear
What's he
me?
doing down there? All right.
Hello. What's
Theodore.
Theodore.
Ted Theodore Logan. That's my name.
This is Mr. Bunny. Hey there.
Oh, hello.
Hi.
Oh. I didn't know we were going to have a bunny here. Well, I don't know if the bunny...
There's only room for one puppet on this show.
Hang on a minute, Bunny. I'm trying to tell the people something here. I got an important announcement. All right, you got two candidates. And I want you to consider which one is going to make, which is the Magma candidate. Who's going to make America Great Britain again? Now, you got one candidate. He's kind of fat and lazy and stupid. I mean, that's quite British, right? And he can't run very fast, and he's never been abroad, and he likes bacon and eggs. And, he thinks he's better than foreigners, and, he's fat and tasty, all that junk food he eats. Oh, I like a bit of junk food. And, you can't have junk food. Why not? It makes you a bit weird. Rubbish. I had junk food just this morning. Now,
I'm Pine Fox.
Where was I? Oh, yeah. Well. The other candidate, that's a lady, and, she's a lady in a suit. That's very New Britain. But, she's probably not mad enough to be British, though. She should be a bit madder. But, not as mad as that Liz Truss. She was a bit too mad. But quite mad. We like her mad, and she's good and strict. That's important. And go to bed on time when it's hibernation time. She'll tell you when to go hibernate, and she'll tell you to do that. But she's a bit too competent and efficient, so that's not very British. And but a bit like that Angela Merkel. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just not British. It's not Magma. And maybe if she wore a bun on her head, that's very British. A lot of British ladies have buns, and I like buns. And that's very British right now. I like buns and picnics. British people like picnics, don't they? And they don't carry guns, which is a good thing when they have their picnics. Because, I like to come up and have a little bit of that picnic, and, maybe I can catch one of them, too. Very tasty. Lovely. Well, yeah, what we need is nice British people with no guns everywhere. That's who we need in charge of this country.
What we need is a puppet government.
What's that?
We need a puppet government.
A puppet government? Now that's a good idea.
We should elect politicians we can stick our hands up.
Now, a bunny government would be quite good.
That could be a fun part of the debate.
Basically, I want an edible government. People you can eat. Not people with guns, people who like to go to picnics without guns. And then you can eat them. And the picnic too, if you like. Who let you out today? Well, that's all I had to say, really. Just be careful when you vote. Don't vote by mistake for the wrong person. Vote for the candidate who's going to Magba. All right. Well, that's all I got to say for now. All right. Well, thank you, Theodore. You look pretty tasty. What are you talking about? Did you have some nice breakfast this morning? All right. I think I'm going to have to get rid of this guy. Come
The show.
on.
You realize that
All right,
if you
sorry.
bring puppets on the show, Dale's bringing puppets on the show.
All right. Hello. Yeah, sorry about that.
Arms race.
He was
Well, technically a hands race.
well. He was very insistent, Dale. I don't know what to tell you. He thought he was going to host last week, but Amber came, so that was handy. So I didn't have to rely on him. But right, well, he's very concerned. I thought you and him have a bit in common. He also likes to eat humans.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah. Well, these days, it's a sensible option. You want your Soylent Green made the old-fashioned way.
I like my Soylent Green chunky style.
All right. Well, here we are again with another lovely day of drawing.
Would you like to hear the story behind this puppet while you're getting ready to draw?
Yeah, tell me all about the story. Well, I want to hear all about what you've been up to, Dale, because you weren't here last week.
Yes, I was in the wilds of Columbus, Ohio, attending my niece's wedding. And this puppet...
Right. And I did give you permission to do that, so that was okay.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have the sub-dom relationship where I have to ask permission to do things. Yeah.
Well, that's a joke, because obviously you don't.
This is...
All right, here we are.
This is the childhood puppet of my niece who got married. And
oh, wow.
He went on the trip.
My husband won't let her have puppets anymore.
And he is in the wedding photos. He attended the wedding. And he actually helped out the photographer because we used the puppet to get people's attention during the wedding photographs. The cool thing
they have to do that. They have to do sort of funny things and distract people. Well, some of them do. My sister had a really weird one.
Puppet
he took really good pictures.
Is it has not been washed in 30 years.
All right.
It's covered in
it's not washed in 30 years.
Yeah. If I squeeze it, I can hear it crackle.
Does it have like some sort of chain or collar on it?
It's a love beads. Those are from a trip to Greece and Turkey Sabrina and I went to, and that was the souvenir we brought back to the puppet. I think the puppet went along on the trip, if I remember right. This puppet is well traveled. My friends would borrow it and take it on trips and take photographs. He has been to Bali, and he was actually kidnapped by monkeys. They had
Bali, the hotel in Las Vegas.
No, this was the island of Bali, and in a wilderness preserve, my friend brought the puppet to take pictures with the monkeys. And the monkeys kidnapped Mr. Bunny, and they had to contact a forest ranger to get the puppet back from the monkeys. So Mr. Bunn was, years ago, he was almost the god of the Balinese monkeys.
Oh.
But I'm glad he's out of the toy chest again. He went to the wedding. My niece was overjoyed to see him. And he's going to be on the show now until you get rid of your puppet.
Well, he's not really mine. I mean, he is born in America. He's a Native American.
Oh, okay. That's right. The British can't own slaves.
Yeah. He's not any kind of slave. He's like a child that lives in my house. He's very big and he eats a lot.
It sounds like Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry, I compared you to a puppet.
Well, I'm afraid
Yeah,
I started
entirely
that idea.
wrong.
No, that Sam's much better behaved than the Magma Bear. All right, now I've realised that you probably missed a couple of pages here because I did a couple of pages while you weren't looking.
Okay, so is that an underdrawing that has been refined in the computer and then printed in red using your
Yes,
inkjet printer onto a sheet of Bristol board?
exactly.
We got some chatters here. We got Emma and Pine Fox.
Oh,
saying
I'm
hi.
sorry.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Emma. It's going great. I'm glad to be back on the show. I stayed up all night, so I look like hell. And Pine Fox, thanks for joining us on the show.
Yes.
The
Yeah,
puppets
apologies
are
for the
new.
Magma Bear, but I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, and we have a new segment today. We're going to be doing show and tell.
Oh, show and tell?
Yeah,
Did you bring something to show and tell?
all the crap that I bought in Ohio.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's an exotic country. Well, do you want to show that? I was going to get the pages that you missed because I did do 2 other pages that weren't shown on the show here.
Cool. I noticed that you had Amber actually draw on the show. Why don't you ever invite me to draw on the show?
It's not that kind of showdown. I don't know. You can draw.
Oh, I might do that next week. Right now, I'm too lazy.
All right. Well, I'm just going to do the story so far quickly because some people might have not been paying attention.
And these are all ink on Bristol board
Yes, Bristol board.
with a little whiteout.
Yeah, there's lots of whiteouts. Okay, so yeah, we start far from now. The ancient crumbling tower of Ur drifts through the Urfspace. Wah! Oh no! It's great grand uncle Pewfell. I think I lost some greats in there. He needs changing again. Well, actually, this is probably earlier than those ones. Yeah, okay. 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 This page is over here. All right. Pewfell, Fourfingle. Planet Earth Entertainment presents another long lost extract from those perturbingly profound and misplaced manuscripts of the worst wizard on Earth, Pewfell Porfingles. Prologue. You gross. Whose turn is it to sponge him? Gods, when did I get so old? I had the answer once, but now I've lost it. It's here somewhere amongst the weird tales of my adventures across the multiverse, righting wrongs, thwarting destiny, and doing battle with the very gods, as is the doom of all wizards. It's just what we do. He never did all that. Shh. Oh, yeah. And then we got Noma at the bottom. Hi, I'm Noma Jean Gnome. You know me from my starring role in the webcomic Pewfell. Oh, yeah, I'll move that up. You know me from my starring role in the webcomic Pewfell. Yeah. I was the breakout hit character brought in to save the show and up the ratings, which I did for a while until I got bored. All right, that's 3 pages. Did you see this page? You saw this page, right?
I saw you started inking that page, and I was very impressed by the earth. But you got angry with yourself because you thought that you lit the earth incorrectly.
I think I got it right in the end. It was all right. Yes. Okay. So he needs to go back to before I had it all to lose and do it over again. He's losing it. He already lost it. Did he ever even have it? Yes, that's it. A portal back through time and space to when it started or when it stopped or when I could have changed it all. Back to planet Earth where my story begins. Ooh, nice globe. Super detailed. Even the clouds look real. I don't know. If you want to read the Noma strip, you'll have to go to my Patreon page. I'll fill you in on that there. Okay, but there's a little sub bit. Okay, well, actually, no, I have to do that because it goes to this next bit you haven't seen. There's a few pages here you haven't seen yet. For a long time, I've just been wanting to tell you my story my way. This cramped comic is not exactly the format I would have chosen, but okay, it's thematic. Pay no attention to all that wizard crap upstairs. I'm where the real action is at, okay? Sit back, enjoy the show, and maybe later I'll show you my knockers.
Knockers.
Okay, then we got a little side thing. Okay, The Adventures of Andre the Gnome. Hi, that's me. I'm Andre. Like many young gnomes of his age, Andre has just arrived in the big city. Ugh, a gnome! This town is infested. Gosh, everything sure is big. Clomp, clomp. But what makes Andre no different is the size of his ambition and the sheer impossibility of achieving it. Could you direct me to the stone-standing School of Sorcery? Knew her, eh? Wow! Welcome to Spire Castle! It's my dream to become a wizard. All my sisters said it was a stupid dream and that gnomes can't be wizards in this period of history for socio-economic reasons that I'm not mentally equipped to understand. But I want to be the first one. Let me help. It's true that chaotics are banned from learning magic at the university, but there is some grey area for smart young gnomes as yourself. But experience helps. Can I offer you a position under a licensed magic user, plus free room and board. Sign here. Gosh, this must be my lucky day. Signs contract. Ah, hee hee hee! I tricked you. Hee hee hee! I'm actually a devil, and you signed a contract. Hee hee hee! Huh? Aye! Whap! Wait, what's all this? This isn't how it begins. Yeah, and it's supposed to be about me, not my idiot siblings. Start over. I think I need an extra page in there somewhere because I want this to be like a splash page.
I'd like to remind our viewers that substrip running along the bottom is actually something that you were inspired by the fabulous furry Freak Brothers Fat Freddy's cat, which would run at the bottom of those Freak Brothers books, which was actually very inspired by very old comics that would have separate strips running along the bottom. Crazy Cat actually started as a small strip like that. Sorry, I thought I would interject.
Yeah, well, then that is probably going to overtake the main strip. I mean, Gnome is always threatening to do that. So anyway, yes. But yes, exactly. Planet Earth, spiraling impossibly through the cosmos, orbited by its twin moons and tiny techno-sun, its destination and purpose long forgot. Xanaheim, a barbaric and mountainous land on a frozen edge of the great abyss. All right, and we have a bit of...
I like that one. I have not seen this one yet.
No, there's a few you haven't seen here. I was born in Gnomeville, Stoke. It's one of the crummier burgs in the Flintlock Hills. Brown Heights Festival Place. Festival Place is a big fish, like a place. Gnomeville, Stoke, you must be this short to enter. It's a day's cockroach ride from Gnome City and at least a week from the nearest biggers. I hate biggers, stomping about like they own everything just because they're bigger. One day I'll show them all.
Oh, that's the... I remember we were talking about that caterpillar that's on the next page.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. Yes. Yeah. All right. Teenage Tina, the warrior princess, a lone figure trudges through the snow. Suddenly, the snow behind them erupts. We got a bit more Noma down here. Even though I hate biggers, this story is about the time I moved to the bigger city and made it big. Are you going to tell how you got kicked out of Gnome Land? I mean, how you tricked the queen into exiling you instead of eating you. Can we terminate this one? All right, this is the last page I've done so far. The aberration rears from beneath the white expanse, a great ice worm, its breath liquid fire. I was quite happy how this bit came out here.
Yeah, it's very fiery, but I think I was actually in Ohio when I touched base when you were drawing that.
Was I doing that? Did I do that on the show last week? I don't know when I did that.
You were penciling it, I think.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I was probably scribbling that. Yes.
But that's
I drew that a couple of weeks ago. So it took a while. Like things moved slowly through the pipeline. And then Noma. This is me back in Gnomeville, Stoke. I hate it here. Did you know I'm a royal princess? But so are all 27 of my sisters, and we have 348 brothers. Plus a whole bunch who just gave up on the gender thing altogether. Who cares anymore? I think I changed that a bit. I did so plus a bunch who gave up on the whole gender thing altogether. And then he just says, who even cares? All right. So that's where I got to with that. I'm going a little bit into the biology of gnomes.
Okay. Now, are you going to illustrate the biology of gnomes, or are you just going to leave them clothed?
Well, I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but I might. I'm keeping this one PG-13.
PG
That's usually
13.
where I try to go with people. Like somewhere, sometimes I might veer into like stronger territory.
I noticed the
Sometimes
Amber's
it makes people like me
philo
to.
strip
I don't
is verging into R.
know. Yeah. I cleaned up some of the worst of it in the older material, but then the oldest material is even worse. So I don't know. I'm going to re-put some of that out. I just have to
Well,
live with it. Now.
remember,
It's never been published. I've never tried to get it published. No one's ever going to publish it. So why do I care?
just remember that the movie Zardoz,
Oh.
it has topless actresses and a cartoon wiener, and it made it a classic. So just keep that in mind.
And Emma's asking, is it a new book I'm creating? Yes, Emma. I'm working on a new book of Pewfell adventures called Pewfell in Love. It's going to be better than all the other ones I've done. Well, at least that's my goal, but that's always my goal.
Do you consider this new work a love letter to Tina?
Yeah, in some ways.
She's a very lucky woman.
It's funny though. It's funny, like Tina's. I was thinking about creating a character like Tina, and then she pops into my life in real life. So she came into the comic very quickly and easily, and I never really explained like how she got there or what happened. I did a few where she wasn't there, and then all of a sudden, Pewfell was married to her, and I never really explained how that happened. I thought, well, one day I'll do that, but that's a proper story that I didn't really feel quite well equipped enough to write properly because it's semi-autobiographical.
Okay, how long have you been married to her?
Well, we're coming up on 30 years.
Dude, trust me, you're well equipped.
What's that?
Trust me, you're well equipped.
Yeah, well, I feel, and I have been working on this one probably for about 10 years in the writing, and even longer. Actually, I found from 2008 where I was messaging back and forth with Adam Prosser. But actually, I looked at it, I was like, it was basically just me messaging him. I thought he was contributing something. He did contribute something at some point.
Emma commented about your new Pewfell comic, wonderful, with a heart emoji. And she says that it is exciting with a smiley face emoji that has hearts for eyes. So you have a fan today.
That's nice.
Not just me giving you hell. So you're doing the lettering right now with a pen, which I had heard that you recently cleaned.
Doesn't look very clean, does it?
No. Remember,
I did clean all my pens and
rack
brushes.
dishwasher.
What?
Yeah, you just throw your pen in the dishwasher. Top rack.
Yeah, I use like pen and brush cleanings equipment.
Remember, kids, clean your pens and brushes. Don't be like us.
I don't know though, but when they get a bit crusty, sometimes they get a little more character.
Well, the brushes, you'll lose the point. And with the nib will get wider. That was one thing I didn't see when I was in Columbus, Ohio. When we were driving around, I didn't pass by one art supply store.
Sorry. Every time I do my hand lettering, I'm like, I want to go back to digital lettering.
We've had this discussion before. I like your hand lettering.
I've worked on it over the years.
Hand lettering. I think it adds a lot of charm. Hunt Emerson uses his hand lettering effectively. The late Phil Frank had great hand lettering. The comic book Gru by Sergio Aragonés is hand lettered by Stan Sakai. And I think he recently just won an award for it. I'm trying to remember what. I'm pretty sure he got an award for his lettering. You'll never get one. you're lettering it in metric English. They don't give awards for that. Have you ever considered trying to letter in American English?
Am I doing it in British English?
Yeah.
I thought I was doing it in American.
Yeah. Double check that you're not throwing in some extra U's.
Probably not actually, because first of all, I'm not great at lettering U's. Second of all, that was like one of the first things I dropped when I came to America. It's like, oh, I don't have to bother with all those U's anymore. But the Huguenots introduced when they came over from France, escaping their heads chopped off, putting U's into all our language. I'm not sure why the Huguenots came over, actually. Why did the Huguenots come over?
Because they're a bunch of religious nut jobs, and the Brits wanted to get rid of them. And sadly, the United States has not been able to get rid of its religious nut jobs ever since.
How do you spell barbecue? Barbie C.
BBQ. Hang on, I'll look it up.
Too late. I've spelled it this way now. Future dictionaries will have to refer to my spelling and say, well, it was used in that spelling in that book. All you have to do is write
the word bar hyphen the letter B hyphen QUE. So it's obviously a British word. As a U.
Or you can just do BBQ, but I didn't think she'd say BBQ. She'll say barbecue. I was trying to think. At first, I was trying some different thing, but I was trying to think what she'd actually say. She lives in the frozen barbarian, but I wanted it to be a bit funny. Then I realized barbecue. She's definitely barbecue. They definitely barbecue.
I have to catch up with what Emma is commenting. She said in regards to our earlier discussion about your marriage to Tina and this comic, it is a very romantic pearl wedding present for Tina.
Well, that's very nice. Yes. So, would you want a wedding present? Well, it's a bit late. I probably still owe her a wedding present.
Dude,
do you have to give your own wife a wedding present? Did I give her a wedding present?
Dude, she lives with you. You owe her a yacht. And then Emma said,
"You were going to say I was her present."
Yeah. Dude, you're like a box of rice-a-roni and some turtle wax.
Can't I just wrap myself up in a big bow?
Where would you put the bow?
You would be happy with that.
It would be that big. So Emma asks, so do you pencil before you pen?
Yes.
Yes, he does. But what he then does is he scans the pencils, alters them on the computer in Photoshop to
a little bit. I didn't do much on this one. But the thing is, what happens, the way I do the pencils like the first pencil I do in red, then I do over in a regular pencil, and then the computer drops out the red very nicely. So then I get a cleaner pencil, and then I turn that clean pencil, I make that red and print that out on the paper. So I do the same thing with the ink. So I ink over my red pencil. And that way, in the end, I found that's the sort of cleanest way. It allows me to draw fairly quickly, one way on top of the other. I mean, even though it's a sort of 3-step process, scan it back in and out. I don't know. I could just do it all on the computer, I suppose. I mean, that's what the kids are doing now. But I just like the fun of doing it with the organic materials. I mean, they spend I'm always seeing these ads, and it's sort of telling me how much work's gone into making the texture of canvas. And I'm like, okay.
Well, if you didn't do it on traditional materials, you wouldn't have people at your open studios buying original artwork.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you don't want your art to actually exist, do it all on the computer, because then it never actually exists. And then you don't have to store it.
It's a question of whether or not
what's that?
You're doing it for fun, but you also have a legitimate economic reason. Sergio Aragonés and some other people that we know, like Shannon Wheeler, they sell their originals. You can buy Shannon's originals that he has published in the New Yorker. I own one. And I buy original art from various ne'er-do-well cartoonists.
You're quite the collector. And us artists are very grateful for people like you to exist in the world.
Yeah, my framer is really grateful for people like you.
Yes, we just wish there was more of you.
Considering my weight now, there is. I ate a lot when I was on my trip.
Well, the Magma Bear likes nice, juicy people.
Man, the food in Columbus, Ohio, they had Tim Hortons. They had.
I don't. I've heard about Tim Hortons, but I don't
they had
know.
They had Waffle Houses, and they had White Castle. And at White Castle, you can get a bag of fried clams.
Why don't we have White Castle in California?
The farthest White Castle west is the one that's in Vegas, and I think it has to do something with the cost of property. I'm actually surprised that
healthy laws banning.
I'm surprised we're getting Chick-fil-A's in the Bay Area.
Yeah. All right. Now I have to wait for the ink to dry. That's the only problem with this doing it on the show here. Because
did you ever get the hairdryer that I suggested?
No. I've got the heat gun thing, but you think I'm not allowed to use that.
Paper on fire.
Only a little bit.
Just get a freaking hairdryer already. Just go to.
I keep meaning to. I forget to put it on my list.
You have Amazon. You have some sucker.
You want me to go on Amazon right now?
You have a sucker who lives in San Jose who buys you canvases and drives them up there to you. Just add a hairdryer to the list.
All right. Well, I don't need to because I'm gonna ink this bit at the top here that's all black.
Oh, do you need any more canvases?
All right. Well, we have to talk about this because, I've got to figure out if I'm still doing any more art battling. I'm going to go to the art battle final, which is next week, the 24th, at the Great American Music Hall, and it's the national finals are being held in San Francisco. So all the top art battlers from around the country are going to be competing.
You should go. I'm
going to go. I've got my ticket, and they just announced there are going to be wildcard spots.
You should go for a wildcard spot, and you can also kneecap someone to take their spot.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to put in.
I'm looking for an excuse to come up and annoy you.
Well,
because I bought you a present.
Tina can't go because she's busy.
What?
I
bought you a present from Ohio.
Ooh.
You want to see it?
Sure. Thank you.
Remember when I called you from the game store in Ohio?
Yeah.
And told you, hey, I'm looking at your illustrations that I just saw the originals of printed in a book, the Goodman Games book in a game shop in Ohio. They were very impressed that I knew you. So I got you this because you're a Dungeons and Dragons fan. I got you a Dungeons and Dragons pin.
Ooh, I love it. Oh, I love that so much. You know what? I've got a really old Dungeons and Dragons pin from the early 80s.
That was from the Soldiery game store in Columbus, Ohio, which is filled with it's a nice game shop. I recommend it if you're in Columbus, Ohio. It's right by the Laughing Ogre comic book store. And it's a nice crew of people running it. Bunch of nerds, but
yeah. Well, they're all the cool kids. All the cool kids are running game and comic book shops now. Well, they think they're pretty cool at Silver Sprocket, and they are pretty cool.
You went there. How was it? I've never been there.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was way bigger than I thought, and they had so much stuff in there that it sort of blew my mind a bit because I was like, "Oh my god! Look at all this great stuff."
Is it kind of a superhero geared shop, or is it
No,
zine?
not at all. No, 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 no. Socially conscious and far out. Basically,
Okay.
it's either like really socially conscious stuff or completely socially unconscious stuff. It depends. It's just nothing in the middle.
Well, I've never been there. I only see them at Zine Fest, San Francisco Zine Fest, and they seem to be kind of an undergroundy, zine kind of group.
Well, definitely, but no, I'm saying they do have something in the middle. So I saw they had Gene Yang and Raina Telgemeier on the shelves,
Oh, I like Ray.
and
I like
Jason
that.
Shiga, he was on the shelves. I saw a lot of people were on the shelves there.
I wonder if they have anything by Lucy Knisley.
I don't know.
I'll have to go up
But
there.
anyway, I showed them my books, said you want to carry them. They said, well, you have to go submit them online, and maybe we'll look at it sometime. So that wasn't very encouraging. But while I was in there, that was nice. Somebody, Floyd, came in. That was nice. He's the guy from the Mission Comics Collective, I think. And
Mhm.
anyway, he was being very nice and telling them that, like, oh yeah, he was being very complimentary to them about me. But I'm
Well,
not
I'll
sure.
just go to
Not is
Silver.
there a collective? So I'm not sure anybody really knows. They'll all
I'll
sit
go
down as a collective
to
sometime and review their submissions, and that's all they could tell me.
Silver Sprocket and ask for your work and complain when they don't have it.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we gotta send our shills in.
Well, I think they have a lot of events, and I know they're getting a lot of submissions. Their website says, "Oh, don't even bother submitting to us."
Well, you're ahead of the curve.
But I'm not
Um,
trying to get them to publish it. I just want them to carry it in the shop. But their shop is very full. Anyway, they said they're coming to Christmas. I think they're probably trying to unload some things off the shelves. They've been doing a good job of getting things on the shelves. Getting them off the
how was
shelves is
parking?
more difficult.
How was parking?
It was remarkably easy. I think we just got lucky, probably.
Okay, and it's not far from Mission Comics, if I remember.
No, it's on Valencia, but in the same general area.
I'll have to come up there and look because I've meant to go to Silver Sprocket. Um, I'm overdue to hit some shops while I'm up in San Francisco. I have to wade my way through the 3-foot depth of human feces that everyone describes that I never see.
Have you been watching Fox News again?
Just this morning.
Just need to keep tabs on what's really going on.
But
Because all the other media is telling you one story, and but they're the only
that was
ones
a nice thing about the vacation. I stayed away from all the media. Columbus, Ohio was surprisingly nerdy.
Okay.
I called the Billy Ireland Museum before I went on the trip, and I asked.
Oh yeah, you were a bit disparaging about that, but I couldn't tell if you were being funny.
No, I'm really pissed off.
I still can't tell if you're being funny.
No, I'm really pissed off.
Why?
It was disappointing. I
read what you said, yeah, but I guess the viewers probably didn't.
Okay.
Maybe they did.
Shall I tell the story to the viewers?
Well, yeah, tell us, because I'm busy here inking. My brain's feeling a bit foggy because it's Saturday morning. So.
Okay, kids. I went to a wedding in Columbus, Ohio, and part of the time spent back there was trying to avoid as much of the wedding preparation as possible because Uncle Dale used to photograph weddings and work for a company that provided services to wedding photographers. And the cardinal rule is if you can avoid as much work on a wedding, avoid it. It's just grief. Let other people do it. Pay other people.
They didn't have you blowing up balloons then?
Oh, God, no. I did bring finger puppets for the kids.
Oh.
Yeah, if you're going to a wedding, Fill your pockets with little rubber finger puppets to hand out to the kids. They will thank you, and to the adults.
All right.
The best
Good
thing
tip
is
there.
slip the puppets into the adults' pockets when they're not looking. I did a lot of that. Okay, so I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio has Ohio State. And Ohio State has what is considered the premier museum of cartoon art in the United States. I would argue that's not true. I think the San Francisco Cartoon Art Museum puts on wonderful shows. I think that the Shoals Museum, even though it's limited to Charles Shoals, does get great lecturers. So it's a very useful cartoon art museum. And then if you go to shows like, I'm sorry, conventions like WonderCon or the San Diego Comic Con, there's usually art dealers there and there's artists there, and the artists will be selling original work. I think conventions like that are actually better museums than the Billy Ireland Museum. Um, the Billy Ireland Museum, it's open to the public. They don't charge anything. They have
Well, that's good.
they have a small. They have a reading room which is bigger than the reading room at the San Francisco Cartoon Art Museum. They have a lot of old Hugos and cartooning awards there, so you can see what they look like. And I didn't really get a chance to look at the books on the shelves. I think the collection at the Cartoon Art Museum in San Francisco is more eclectic and more useful. They had some very large offices with some artwork that was not available to the public, which I had to kind of go in and look at. And they had a lecture hall. They had a gallery upstairs with one person keeping an eye on it who didn't seem to want to be there. And they had a hall with which I assume were regular exhibits. Some stuff on the walls, and then some vertical shelves that you would pull out, and there would be artwork under glass on both sides of this vertical pull-out. Then they had some glass cases with various memorabilia with drawers underneath it you could pull out to look at other artwork. They had some original Calvin and Hobbes, which was fascinating because I had never. I think the Cartoon Art Museum had one once.
How big are they?
Well, that was the interesting thing. I was angry that they didn't give the measurements of the original art in the artist. You know how you have a framed exhibit and then there'll be little notes underneath?
Yeah.
They didn't give the original sizes. And I went down to the offices because I forgot my tape measure. And I asked to borrow a ruler so that I could photograph them and get a rough idea of the scale.
And they were like, oh my God, we got to write one here.
Oh, they thought I would. Oh, yeah, they did not like me. But I had asked if they would pull some originals out of the stacks for me to look at because I forgot to arrange it a week ahead of time. And they said no. And I came from California to this museum, but they still wouldn't pull it. But they did escort me out of the reading room up to the gallery asking, "Are you an artist?" And that was weird because this is a museum of cartooning. The stuff that they have there is by cartoonists, not artists. And
now you make a distinction. Yeah, for a long time I wouldn't really call myself an artist. I'd be like, oh, I'm a cartoonist. But nowadays I do think of myself more as an artist now. But
well, that's
I think of cartoonists and artists, and I'm like, why is it I not really think that before? I don't know.
Well, it depends on.
I didn't want to be bothered with art. Like art, going to galleries, hanging things on the walls. Oh, it's a
Well,
pain in the butt.
historically, Norman Rockwell didn't call himself an artist. He called himself an illustrator. That's the title of his autobiography, My Adventures as an Illustrator. And he was proud of being an illustrator. And I, the National Cartoonist Society, Sergio is proud to be a cartoonist in that society. I don't hear him calling himself an artist. I would hear him call himself a cartoonist. Um, it bugged me. That bugged me a little bit. So I'm up in the gallery. The Calvin and Hobbes were amazing to see because one of the strips had the characters before he settled on their final design.
Okay.
And that was interesting to see early designs of Calvin and Hobbes. It was interesting to see the scale they worked at. He worked a little smaller than Scholl's Peanuts.
Okay, he's a little smaller than Peanuts.
Yeah. I've got photos with ruler measurements. I'll come up there and we can look at the photos together. But I had to beg a ruler. And I was upset that they did, sometimes when you go to a museum, they will give you the scale of a painting.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I was angry about is everything was like ink on paper, ink on paper, ink on paper, ink on paper. And for someone who knows people like you, who is currently putting ink on Bristol board, and who has also in the past put ink on vellum, and my framer is very happy that she gets to charge me extra for framing that vellum.
Why is that so hard? It's like
Uh,
it's nice thick vellum. It's very flat.
yes,
It's got a bit
but
of paper behind it.
remember, I don't use a mat. That was the other thing is I
Oh
didn't
yeah.
like the fact that they matted a lot of the cartoons, which meant that they didn't show registration marks and publisher notes and record numbers. They treated it like art rather than treat it like a camera ready mechanical, which is what it was.
Oh yes. Now Robert Crumb said with comics, and I definitely agree with this, was that um, the finished art object is the printed book.
Right.
Like the things in between, they're not. They're the process towards the finish.
Yeah, that's the thing is when I collect original art, I recognize that it's camera ready art, and I want the remaining blue pencil. I want the notes. I want the registration stickers, and I want that all visible when I have it framed and displayed. So I don't like it when I see cartoons being matted or original cartoon artwork matted like it's a drawing. Um, the lighting on some of the exhibits was not good. The framing, depending on what exhibit it was, it didn't match other framing, but that's a quibble. But if the museum has all of these originals, they could have put more of them out. They could have had them in the reading room. They could have had them multiples on the walls. Um, Sabrina was with me, and she's not a comic nut like I am. And even she thought it was a little skimpy.
All
Um,
right.
so, but the things they did have, they had an Al Jaffe underdrawing where he's roughing out a Mad Folden. Um, they had a Crazy Cat. They had a Peanuts. Um, they had a number of others, like some Zippies, some political cartoonists. God, I'm trying to remember they had a Roth. Um, I was a little disappointed they didn't have a Sergio. I think that really they should have had one of those.
Yeah.
But I found their regular collection skimpy and underwhelming, even though there were some pieces there that I would kill to have. And then there was 2 gallery rooms. They're not that big, but both of them were being used for an exhibit of Nancy by Ernie Bushmiller.
Yes.
And a lot of those were
Who
actually.
does Nancy now? Who's working on Nancy? Don't we know who's working on Nancy?
The current artist?
Yeah, I feel like that's someone we know.
Let me look. Well, they had a lot of original Nancy strips. They had some Nancy tie-in toy memorabilia, and because Nancy is considered to be an artistic masterpiece, with books like How to Read Nancy and Bill Griffiths. I can never pronounce his last name. Bill Griffiths, the artist of Zippy the Pinhead. Sorry, cartoonist of Zippy the Pinhead. He did a biography of Ernie Bushmiller, and there were some original pages of that on display. And I didn't realize that Bill Griffith, when he's doing his graphic novels, the original art isn't that big.
He works kind of small.
Yeah. Oh God, what's his name? Patrick McDonnell.
Yes.
Mutts. He actually did some large abstract paintings with the Nancy characters.
Now he's definitely one of the more better artists, though, I would say, of the strip cartoonists.
Patrick McDonnell.
Yeah, I mean he's a consummate cartoonist, but you can tell that he can also really knows how to be an artist.
Well, he's. I heard him lecture about Crazy Cat down. Remember when we were down?
I went to the Crazy Cat talk. Yes.
Yeah, I mean that lecture was amazing. It wasn't just
that was. I really enjoyed that. That was like sitting there in a room with all the great cartoonists in the world, all sitting there, we're all just appreciating Crazy Cat. That was very nice.
Well, I left that lecture appreciating it more.
I think I already appreciated it an enormous amount. That was one I had. Like my dad had an old book, the Penguin Book of Cartoons, and it had all the old cartoons, everything from sort of it had like Hogarth onwards and Yellow Kid and. But I remember discovering Crazy Cat, and then there are quite a few pages of Crazy Cat in there, and I sort of really fell in love with it from there. And I was like, wow, I don't know, that was I mean, right away I could see it was very different. Because he makes it look easy. He's like, oh yeah, you don't really have to draw like things. I don't know, but you could be so inventive in the way he would change the backgrounds. He's got like, he has so much freedom in what he does, but it's very difficult to replicate it.
He was inspired by where he lived in Arizona to do those backgrounds.
Yes.
Okay. According to Wikipedia, Nancy is currently being drawn by Olivia James, and she took it up in 2018.
Okay, all right, then I don't know who that is. Maybe they were just doing a thing where a bunch of different people were drawing it at some point or something.
Well, Guy Gilchrist did it for 22 years.
Oh yeah, Guy Gilchrist. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Yes. No, he's who I know. Yes.
Okay. So he was
really nice. Back when I was doing Pewfell, like quite early on, like even before Modern Tales and stuff, and I was just sort of posting it. And he was doing his comic. He would do a thing called Mud Pie. He did a few different things. And then one day he sent me. I was sort of chat with him online or whatever. And he sent me a whole bunch of strips, like his original work, which was very nice. So clearly he thought was nice for me.
Dude, I'm going to turn the camera and mic off for just a minute. I gotta get something at the door. Give me a second.
Oh, okay. Well, here I am, folks, drawing a page of Pewfell. All right, look, it's coming out all right. I haven't done an inky nice page. I feel like this is the first real page of the story I'm actually doing in a way. I mean, I've done like all the other pages have sort of been kind of one version or another of prologue. Although this is actually page 8. I mean, I've broken it out so that there's quite a lot of I don't know. Like when you're telling a story, you pull out like the little drawers. So I'm easing you into the story with this thing and that thing, going back and around and gnomes and. But here's where the story really begins. And a new Pewfell story. Just give me a chance to do a little redesign of Tina again. She usually gets a little makeover. I don't know why the female characters tend to have more of a license for a makeover than the male characters. But yeah, okay, even Batman changes his look, but not as often as Catwoman. Well, brush is very nice for doing fur, that's for sure. I'm using quite a small brush here today, and like a number one, really, actually. I mean, I don't know, if you work bigger, this paper that I'm working on, it fits on my scanner, it's a good size. It's a sort of standard comic book size. So it's built to be reduced by a third, I think, when you print it. But I don't know, I'm doing it big enough, it'll print onto A4 or letter size. I'm still a little bit working on my template for all this. Ooh, I'm sorry to get into the inking here.
Sorry about that. Our neighbors are doing construction and they want access to my backyard. Probably to dump stuff. What I miss?
Well, I just told them all the hidden secrets to my art drawing.
Oh, and didn't tell me. Thanks.
No, I didn't want you to know. You'll have to go back and watch it.
Yeah, you've been doing that to me for what? No, 5 or 6 years.
It only feels like 5 or 6 years.
I missed something from Emma. Have really
Oh,
enjoyed.
Emma, hello.
Really
I
enjoyed.
can't see the comments while I'm drawing. I should look.
If you shut up, I'll read it.
Yeah.
Have really enjoyed today. Lovely to see you at work. Got to dash out now. It was great seeing you guys. If you get the wild card for the art battle, let me know and how
Ooh.
to vote. I will try to get up early too.
Oh, well, thanks, Emma. Yeah, I don't know. The wild card thing is like you don't really find out. You go and you put your name in the hat when you get there. And, I think there's usually a few people do that. So a chance to compete in the final, that's quite a big wild card. You could come in and steal the whole thing at the end. That would make everyone mad.
Well, I hope you do.
I think I've learned. I feel like if I did it one more time, I think I'll crack it. I think I've figured out what I need to do.
You know the formula now?
Well,
paint a cat with big eyes.
Yeah. I mean, no, I can still do what I'm doing. I just need to be a little more, a little less real, a little more abstract. And I was really starting to think this week, actually, I was sort of sorting through some old art. And I've been in the process of tidying up, from Open Studios, but I had some things I hadn't sorted through. And, there's...
You still haven't cleaned up from Open Studios?
I did that before, but I hadn't finished quite sorting through some of the things I went to sort through, and I sorted through some and old papers and stuff. And I guess with the painting, you were trying to encourage me at one point to be like, just sort of go in and do something a bit more abstract rather than following the reference. I think I probably need to do that. I need to work out a sort of probably a bit more of a language of symbols or something to be that I can I can throw this in and that in, like the doodle guy, like or Rosie Wick, she always paints everybody with a TV head. That's like a good gimmick. Some sort of a gimmick, but I think for me, not so much a gimmick. I've sort of got a gimmick, but I've got I need to sort of figure out my symbolic language. And you're always talking about symbols.
Gee, a cartoonist figuring out their own symbolic language. How will you ever do that, Chuck?
Well, I don't think it's a hard job. I think it's just, like I probably should have a little think about, like, okay, what are, if I'm standing on stage, what are the elements that I might include or not include, and then, then I'll be sort of free to sort of put them together in a sort of,
All right. Well, you've done it. You have the experience. You just maybe it's time to let go of that reference that you
Yeah.
keep bringing.
I think that's what it is. But I think part of that is sort of knowing which direction I'm going to go in. Like, because I'm a bit of the time, I'm a bit like, oh, I get on there, then you're a deer in the headlights. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. Sometimes that's good or bad. But I think I need a sort of little like toolbox, like, oh, I could do this or I could do this. And,
All
rather
right,
than
let me
having
ask
a
you a
whole
question.
infinity of things that I could do.
Is the green mohawk enough, or do you need a silly hat?
Well, the green mohawk was fine for open studios. I don't know, yeah, wearing it out and about. I think I'm fine with just my regular mohawk. I was happy enough with my look.
Do you think the look contributes?
Well, I had a nice apron. I got a lot of compliments on the apron. I got compliments on my t-shirts. I don't know. I felt fine as far as that
Don't
went.
forget her navel.
Oh yeah, that's in here. Well, this is what I'm a bit confused about because I put a lot of shadow on the front there, which I think I have to commit to it. But I'm like, that's a little more tricky.
Okay. So what I was saying about the Billy Ireland Museum, I think that for the amount of art that they have to show so little of it, I mean, there was a lot of work in the show, but you should have more of their collection in the regular gallery, not just the show gallery. And if they have a lecture hall, I believe the Scholes, Jeannie Scholes, the lecture hall named after her and her late husband. You should.
Yeah, okay. So they got some money from her too, I guess.
Yeah, you
right.
should be hanging art in that and have it open to the public. And the reading room should have had a lot of art, and it didn't. And the other thing it didn't have was a gift shop. You go to a museum, you expect to be able to buy swag that demonstrates you went to the museum. That's one of the
is that some sort of political point that they do want to be like they want to have people exiting through the gift shop or something? I mean, I thought that was pretty standard.
I wonder if they just, because it looked like some of the people working there were student volunteers and others were quote unquote scholars, you'd have to have someone actually running the shop and doing inventory to have a gift shop. But if we go to the Cartoon Art Museum in Frisco, and I can call it Frisco because I'm in San Jose, we can buy stuff that it commemorates the trip. If we go to
you're trying to start a war between San Francisco and San Jose? You can't, you have to dead name us.
What do you want me to do? Call it Baghdad by the Bay? That's its real name.
You call it SF.
I
don't know what you're allowed to call it. I get a bit confused. Are you allowed to call it San Fran or not? I don't know.
Okay, to get off that subject. So they sent me over to a bookstore that was in there's a Wexler Modern Art Gallery. They call it the Wex after someone who donated a lot of money, who I think's last name was Wexler. But they had a bookstore, and they had a little area where they had old Billy Ireland Museum exhibit program books. They had some signed books by cartoonists who had visited. Durf Backdurf did an award-winning graphic novel of Kent State. So he visited.
Oh, yes.
And they had autographed editions of that. I picked up the program book for a Calvin and Hobbes exhibit they had. Let me get that out. That I found valuable, but there's no pins or T-shirts or tote bags or anything that says you were at the Billy Ireland Museum, and I think
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer, isn't it?
yeah, and I don't. It implied something that they didn't really understand the people who would go there. So this is
Well,
the
aren't these
Calvin and
places always
Hobbes.
begging for money as well?
This is the Calvin and Hobbes museum exhibit book, and I'll bring it up next time I see you. But
I don't know. Maybe they got enough money from Jeannie Schultz; they don't need to make any more.
well, it's not just about money; it's about the experience of the people going there. So I'm there, and I'm a nut job. I'm looking at every single thing, and I watched other visitors come in and just kind of like loop through the halls and leave, or loop through the artwork and leave.
Yes.
And so it's got some early pre-Calvin and Hobbes cartoons by Watterson, which I've never seen.
Okay.
So I left the museum kind of disappointed. And also, I went into the reading room. They closed early. I had to talk to the people running the museum saying, hey, I want to look at the reading room. You closed before you said you would close. And, oh, we have it's a short day for students, and I had to bug my way into the reading room, and I realized the person walking me through it didn't know what the awards that they had on the walls were, like the Reuben, for example. The person who was helping me didn't know that was designed by Rube Goldberg. So,
Well, Dale, that's the trouble. Is you're now a senatorial figure, and you can go around everywhere you go. You know more than everybody else around you. It's a bit of a problem with getting old. I have to say problem.
well, yeah, I'm the atypical goer to the museum, but I mentioned my experience to some fellow comics fans, and they were disappointed in my experience too.
Yeah.
That was the thing, is I really didn't get the impression the people I was dealing with there were fans of cartooning. And maybe that was just me. Maybe that's an unfair assumption. But, I go to the Shoals Museum and they're fans of Charles Shoals. And I go to the San Francisco Cartoon Art Museum and, we've met the people there, Summerlee and Andrew, and they're damn well fans.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I think people they think they're attracted to cartoons. They think, "Oh, that looks like a lot of fun." Happy cartoons. I enjoy reading cartoons. They make me feel good and happy and connected. And so, they get involved in cartooning, and then they realise that once you're in cartooning, it's a nightmare dog eat dog world
Yeah.
of pain and self discipline, and
And having to get up early on Saturday mornings and being
having to
part
get
of
up
your
early on
fans'
Saturday
cartooning
morning
blog.
in order to host a live stream show for some reason because
A live stream show with puppets.
But
But
next thing you know, you're hosting a puppet show.
I
And
wish
you're like, how did this happen? Why am I hosting a puppet show?
I wish
Why
you
did I go into
and
banking? Why did I go into banking and make lots of money?
or sell art supplies.
We're selling art supplies. I should be. Well, yeah, selling art supplies. Next thing you know, you're trying to make money selling art supplies or pen at a museum.
I wish
What the hell am I
you
doing?
and Amber and Robin were with me at the museum, because I really think that it would have been interesting to hear your views on the museum. Oh, and Andrew and Summerlee. I would be curious to know what their views would be. But so I had a
Well,
negative.
I'm sure they'll both be very polite, but I'm sure secretly
Oh,
they'll have
those
a lot
two
of
would be polite.
schadenfreude that their own museum is better.
I think Robin and Amber would have trashed it like I did. But it wasn't a loss. I got to see some originals, and I had a good. I didn't have as good a time as I was hoping. That was the disappointment.
Well, maybe it's just a case where you built it up too much because you haven't left your house in several years, and then
That's true. That's true. Maybe I'm just an old curmudgeon.
you're like, well, I'm going to go see this famous museum full of my favorite things. And you
Well,
get there, and it's just some old building with some old comics in it, and you're like,
yeah.
what?
Well, is Sam still here?
I don't
I
know.
am here. I'm here.
I think
Sam,
he gets a bit bored when we're not got a timer on me or anything.
let me
First, we
ask.
discuss the more.
You've known me for a while now. Do you think I'm just a crazy old curmudgeon?
No, you're
No.
not
Oh, is that a
curmudgeon.
trick
Like,
question?
I don't know. You're a bit crazy. You're not that old, and you don't seem like you're that negative.
Yeah, I've
Okay.
Maybe a
known
little
crazier.
negative.
Just
Yes.
checking.
I've known crazier and more curmudgeonly.
I'm working on it though. But I did go to some pretty awesome places that the Billy Ireland Museum suggested. One of them I went to was a super kick-ass vinyl record store. They also had rock posters, and they had pins. It's called Magnolia Thunder Pussy.
What?
Yeah, that was the name of the store, and they had like Grateful Dead pins. They had pins of the Freak Brothers, and I had to
Ooh.
explain to the clerk who had never read the Freak Brothers who they were. And
What?
yeah, I had to convince her. You have to go find the Freak Brothers and read them. How can you work in a place called Magnolia Thunder Pussy that sells Freak Brother pins and not know who the Freak Brothers are? They only
They
they
just
only
think
had
that's
fat
like crazy stuff for elders.
they only had Fat Freddy and Phineas. I'm sorry, Fat Freddy and Freewheeling Frank. I'll have to get Phineas somewhere else. And
Well, it's
then
good to see the Freak Brothers are sort of still out there, and they've got those nice new additions, and
yeah,
they had an animated show that I haven't seen it, but some people said it was all right.
I won't watch it.
What?
I saw stills of it, and the backgrounds don't match the Gilbert Shelton art or the Dave Sheridan art, and that kind of
All right,
turns.
but in animation, it's difficult. But yeah, okay, they could do the backgrounds more like that, I suppose. Yeah.
But after Magnolia Thunder Pussy, I went to a used toy store called Big Fun. And I highly recommend, if you're in Columbus, Ohio, go to the Big Fun toy store.
Okay.
And
And they got a good review.
oh my God, it was. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Bay Area used toy stores. Time Tunnel Toys in San Jose is my favorite, but I don't discount Toy Trauma in Niles. I don't discount Action Figure Addicts in Union City. I recommend them. And I don't discount the Bat Cave up in Santa Rosa, which you should visit when you go to the Shoals Museum. But Big Fun was loaded. G.I. Joe's, Mego action figures like the Star Trek ones, the Planet of the Apes ones. They had some Barbies. They had some $6 Million Man. They had Godzilla. They had some kaiju. They had comics. I picked up a stack of Grooves for cheap. And I got this epic 1950s design Godzilla.
Ooh.
And
Oh yeah.
I was chatting with them about, what's it like to be a nerd there? And they have some conventions that go into Columbus, Ohio, because it's the state capital and it's kind of a metropolitan area. And they get about 2 toy shows a year. So that sounds pretty nerdy to me. In fact, I was so nerdy talking to them that they gave me a discount to get me out of the store.
But I'm not sure what's nerdy anymore. Isn't like nerdy now mainstream, and mainstream is kind of dorky?
I don't know. What would you call someone who's into comics and
Well, yeah, in the old days, you'd say they're a nerd. Now that's like cool, man.
Sam? What do you call people who are into comics and old toys? Is it still nerd or is there new slang?
It kind of depends on who you're interacting with.
Okay.
If you're with people who don't like comics, they might say you're a nerd
Okay.
and be mean to you. If you're with people who like comics, which is I feel like most people these days, they'll probably say, "Oh, that's cool. You also like comics." It's not really like an interesting thing anymore, like back in the day. It's just
Okay.
like, oh, either you like comics or you don't.
And I went back to the toy store the second time. The first time I also got this cool rocket ship keychain. Sabrina wanted me to get this. She thought it was cool. And
Ooh.
I got the old grooves, which were cheap, $3 a pop, bagged and boarded.
Oh.
Yeah, these are
All right.
like.
Well, I mean, you can
These
buy
are
a big
grooves.
lots of brew on
These are
eBay. I've
grooves
seen like I've thought
from
about it.
85 to 89. And I got a 1990 here in 87. Sam, when were you born?
2002.
72.
2002.
2002.
Yeah, he was born in 1972, like 3 years after I was.
Okay, these comic books are older than you are.
Yeah.
But the other thing I did when I went to the toy store the second time is I got this badass Judge Dredd action figure.
Ooh.
Because I was jealous as hell that you have one.
Oh, I know. I know how it is. I get jealous with Sergio of things.
And I paid through the nose for this. They didn't have the
Oh,
motorcycle.
no, I don't have that one. That's a different one. Wait, which kind is that?
Well, it's the comics one.
Yeah. What's the make, though?
What do you mean the make? It's 2000 AD.
All right, but like the company that made it, there's a 3A one, and there are different ones.
Oh, I didn't even look at that. Oh, Reaction Figures.
Reaction figure. All right, that seems like a newer one, I guess.
I'm looking for a date. 1999.
99? Oh, that's an old one.
Can't be that.
Yeah,
Well,
it
it's
could be.
still in the box, and I'm
Yeah.
debating whether or not to rip it out of the box and play with it. But now I have one.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I never know about that. You know,
I'm catching up with you. The other thing,
all right.
the other place that the Billy Ireland Museum suggested was Laughing Ogre Comics, and so I went there. I picked up some Sergio stuff, and I picked up an interesting graphic novel by someone I had never heard of before. And let me get that out. It's this thing by Michael, and I think it's pronounced Thiefs, Creating Copra, which was a comic of his. And it's described as the definitive do-it-yourself guide to making and self-publishing comics. And if you go through it, it has pictures of his thumbnails and underdrawings and scripts and inking in progress. In essence, it's the show.
It's like this show, but in a book.
Well, I think that we're more amusing than the book. But
yeah, exactly. Like, not everybody can read, Dale. Like, in fact, more people prefer to watch television than read books.
Yes, our audience is mostly illiterates and house cats. But I recommend if you're at a comic shop, pick this up and flip through it. Then after the comic shop, Sabrina wanted to go to a rock store so she could not rock and roll music, but like
Well, I was going to say, is that rock and roll or does she collect rocks?
those things that you find in the ground called rocks.
Yeah, or geodes. People like geodes.
She
Those
wanted
kind of
to
rock.
get some
Geodes are like a
opals.
rock that's got crystals inside it.
She wanted to buy opals, and we drove to a rock store, and it was in the middle of like a suburb, not like in a mall or anything. It was like just an add-on to somebody's house, and they sold rough rocks. They sold polished gems. They sold fossils. They sold meteorites. They sold some jewelry. They didn't sell any diamonds. I had a talk with the guy, and he told me that the insurance is different if you sell diamonds. And he had security cameras, but they were all from, I swear the security cameras were like all from 1980. They're these huge honking things.
Yeah.
They probably all shoot in black and white. But Sabrina had a good time. She bought a bunch of Australian opal and some Boulder opal. And I bought some dumb things. I bought a tiny, tiny little crystal skull,
Ooh.
which is probably cursed,
Ooh.
but he didn't guarantee it. I don't think I think you have to pay extra to get them cursed.
Ooh, yeah. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
Now, was that brought to Earth by aliens?
I assume so. But yeah.
Why do they have crystal skulls?
Well, crystal skulls, if you're into Forteana, there's been a number of different crystal skulls, and they supposedly have supernatural properties. Now, I got
Right,
a
wasn't that
tiny
all just
little
made up by
one.
like this one guy?
I have a tiny little one, so I probably have little tiny supernatural properties. It probably won't kill me, but it might give me gout. Now, the best thing that I got at the rock shop, and you're going to want to pay attention to this.
Okay, well, hang on. I'm doing hair here. I've got to pay a lot of attention to inking hair. All right.
Okay. See this little guy?
Ooh. Wait. Is that like? Oh, it's a dog, an Etruscan dog. It's like a figurine of wondrous power. If you throw it, does it turn into a real dog and attack your enemies for 10 rounds?
This is supposedly an Egyptian artifact. So this rock shop would buy collections from other people.
Okay.
And this is supposedly a representation of the god of Thuth from 500 to 1000 BC. And this is something the peasants would have as a religious icon.
Yeah.
Or it is some sort of scam that I wasted a bunch of money on.
Yeah.
Something mass produced, sold to tourists visiting Cairo. But
Well,
I
I
like.
don't know. I've been to Cairo. That doesn't look like the sort of thing that they have a lot of.
I
They do have some things they have a lot of. There's certainly papyrus. They got tons of it.
I think that this is something that will live in quantum uncertainty, where it's either 3,000 years old or 10 years old.
Yeah, it's both. At this point, it's both.
But it was a great shop. I think it was called the Specialty Shop, and shop was spelled SHOPPE.
Oh yeah, one of my first jobs when I was in America was at a place called the Copy Shop, spelled SHOPPE.
But it's the last rock store in Ohio, and if you're into lapidary and rock collecting, you know that in California, these rock.
Well, yeah, that's okay because it's not like you could just go outside and find rocks just lying around the place.
Well, yeah, but not good ones. Oh, this place also sold meteors. and they had a fossil of a small dinosaur that they were asking the moon for. It was very expensive. I think it was certainly more than 10,000.
Well, I expect rocks to be very valuable one day when we all live in space, and like any little piece of the Earth will like have enormous value.
And we have a viewer today. It is someone named Art Glitch.
Oh, hello! I know
He
somebody
said,
called Arkwitch who's going to be on a show this evening.
I had to open a bank account this morning. I'm here now, way late. And then she says, well, I'm assuming it's a she. This looks
Yeah,
like a
hello.
Pewfell page. She knows you. They know your work, Chuck.
This art glitch person sounds very intelligent.
I think it's our friend Amber.
I usually find that like my work is appreciated by intelligent, bright people
And me.
with a sense of humor.
For our viewers, Amber Greenlee is going to be speaking for the Northwest Cartoonists tonight, and you can get a free ticket to hear her lecture. And I'm trying to remember where you would go. Give me a second.
Well, is it posted on Facebook? You can go to Art Glitch on Facebook.
Well, that's one way of doing it. Yeah, they haven't updated their website in a while.
Yeah, they post them up afterwards. You can see them afterwards. Like the one that I gave the talk recently about my new Astro Kitty book. That was very good. I thought it was very nice. I got to talk all about my work. So if you want to know about what that's all about, definitely look at that. The Northwest Cartoonist Northwest.
Oh, she's only going to talk for half an hour. You're doing Philo tonight. Remember, viewers, 6 p.m. Pacific on Twitch. Look for Art Glitch, which is ARTGLYCH. And Amber, do you have an artist for tonight? If she's listening to me. Amber? Bueller? She's not listening. Oh, she's got Steve Troop, and I still have to answer you about next week. I'll get to you about that. So I'm going to watch Philo tonight and suggest they draw a lot of butts.
Yes. All right. Now I've only got one more panel to go here. I think. I don't know. I need to put a little more back on there.
You know, you've been whipping these panels out pretty fast. You're on your game today.
Yeah, I'm pretty fast. How are we doing for time? All right, half an hour. All right, that should be all right. Although this panel's quite fun. All right, this panel's finally feeling like a Pewfell panel.
No, you're flying in there with that brush.
Yeah, this is the number one brush. I think I realized that this is actually the easiest one to ink with and get good results.
Do you have a backup, or is that the only one?
I do have another one, I think, but this is one I've used for a long time that I'm quite happy with.
Okay. I'll have to remember to steal it when I come up and visit.
But it won't be the same. Like you could steal it, but to you it would just be like every other brush.
That's not the point of why I would steal it.
Okay. Well, yeah, you could.
I'd ransom it back.
Well, again, when we're all living in space and the Earth is a forgotten husk, anything,
Yes.
anything will be very valuable.
When we're fighting for survival on the moon, hurtling through the cosmos.
Yes.
Of course, I'll survive because I've memorized all the Space 1999 episodes.
Well, I do feel like having read a lot of Judge Dredd as a kid has definitely prepared me for the modern world. I mean, I'm ready, and every time something new comes along, like weather control machines or space lasers, I'm like, I saw it, or putting adverts on the moon. I saw it first on Judge Dredd.
Well, the pandemic, I saw the movie The Andromeda Strain.
Oh, yeah, I've
And
never seen it, actually. I tried to watch it back when I was a kid because I like science fiction, but it seemed very boring, and I didn't really enjoy it.
oh, you got to watch it. So,
But yeah, I probably like it more now.
yeah, well, we lived through it.
Yeah, well, that's good. Okay, but okay, I mean, are you calling it quits now on the pandemic?
I don't know yet.
Well, okay. I mean, I would encourage you and say, well, I think that it's no more likely to kill you than anything else at this point.
I'm having fights with various people about whether I'm masking or not. But I spent a lot of the time on my trip unmasked.
Okay.
But when I came back, the first thing I did was test before I saw my folks.
Yeah.
And according to the test, I am not positive for COVID.
You're positive that you're not positive?
I feel okay.
Well, good. Yeah. Well, I know it's
But it was weird.
It's been a challenging time for everybody.
It was weird to be there without a mask because it was certainly a super spreader event, and yeah, weddings can kill, and not just through COVID. It was a fun wedding.
Yeah, I mean, my friend's brother got married, and it basically turned into a big punch up between the two sides of the family because the parents had got divorced, and nobody really got on very well. He went to this wedding, and it ended up being a big punch up. But he managed to video most of it because he wasn't the one to get involved in family squabbles.
Well, the best part for me was the bride and the groom had written their own vows, and they were at the altar, and the groom reads his vows out of a little notebook he had in his pocket, and the bride gets out her vows, which are on a piece of paper, 2 pieces of paper. She had long
Right
vows
on the back of her head.
and she looks at it and she realized she brought the wrong vows.
Oh no!
So I guess there's more than one
like
draft.
her friend with the wrong vows. She had some
And
other vows in case.
so the people who were helping her, she didn't have any bridesmaids.
Yeah, wait, hold on. This needs more explanation. What do you mean wrong vows? Why did this person have multiple sets of vows?
Yeah, I was wondering that too. Maybe she had, there was another suitor. But they sent someone running to find her vows, so we had to halt the wedding. And she was working the crowd. She's like looking at us and go, "Wow, how was your flights?" Oh, that was a lot of fun. And I gave a speech. I was so proud of myself.
Well done.
Yes. Many of the people there who did not like me told me they were impressed that I was on my best behavior.
Who are these people that don't like you? Why don't they like you?
Perhaps it could have been I was responsible for the first word one of the children, who's now an adult, learned.
Okay, and what was that?
You know that word that begins with an F? It wasn't father.
That's not a funny family story.
No, sadly it is not. Although I think it's hilarious. No, it was fun. I got to see a lot of people. I was out without a mask. I actually ate out for the first time in years. And
so they didn't go, "Oh, here's Dale. He's the one that taught you to say fuck."
No, but that same young man who is grown into a very, very nice man, he helped me put a finger puppet in the boutonniere of the groom. So I've corrupted those children.
Yeah.
It was fun. I recommend that people go to weddings, and I recommend people occasionally have one.
Yeah, I've got a lot of faith in some of the young people. I think the young people are turning out quite good, generally speaking.
Um, but it was interesting. Columbus, Ohio, and the state of Ohio is supposedly representative of the entire United States. So a lot of businesses will try things using Ohio as a test bed to see if it
Now,
holds.
okay, sorry. Yes. All right. Was it named after Christopher Columbus? Because I didn't think he went to Ohio or Ohio, as you can call it. I heard somebody say.
I think that it was named before Peter Falk's TV detective. So it's probably more
It's not
likely.
named. Yeah, it's not Colombo, Ohio.
I think it. Well, I must admit I did call it Colombo, Ohio, a lot. I think it was probably named after the so-called explorer, the slaver.
Yeah, I mean, he only went to the West Indies, and he thought he was in India.
Yeah,
So I'm not quite sure why towns in Ohio need to be named after him.
I don't know.
Do people in this country call it Ohio, or is that only old people in England?
Uh, I'll be very honest. I thought Ohio was like some sort of made-up thing before I actually went there. And I'm still considering that Ohio is some sort of simulation. The people were absurdly nice. Um, it just seemed off. It seemed like it was all an act. It was like Westworld.
Okay. Do you think everyone in Columbus is being replaced by robots?
Um, yeah, or it was some sort of computer simulation. You know, it was a really good toy store. It was a really
Yeah.
good.
Did they take you when you went to the airport? Were you taken aside for a little while, and then you don't remember anything, and then you had a nice trip, and then you came back, and something similar happened on the way back?
On the way back, something so weird happened that no one believes me.
Okay, I don't believe it.
Yeah, yeah. So should I even bother telling you?
Yeah. Well, tell me.
Okay. So I go through TSA, and I have reduced the number of keys I took on this trip to just these two keys and this keychain. And I go through TSA, and I have to take everything out of my pockets and take off my shoes. And they argued whether or not my belt buckle was a deadly weapon. And I get through TSA, and I put all the stuff back in my pockets and put my coat back on, and I go to the gate with Sabrina, and I realized my keys were missing. So I thought, oh my God, I left my keys in the tray, and that tray is probably now stacked
Oh no.
under other trays. So I went to TSA, and I explained what happened and asked if anyone turned in any keys to Lost and Found. By the way, at the beginning of the trip, Sabrina lost her wallet when we got to Ohio,
Oh
and
no.
someone turned it in like a few minutes later, and she got her wallet back.
Wow.
Everything was in there. Uh, that was an insane stroke of luck. So,
Yeah.
so I'm missing my keys, and I had to like walk to get food at the airport. I had to get on the airplane. I had this long trip. And then, we get to Atlanta and we get off the airplane, and I'm walking around with Sabrina getting food. And we get on the airplane, and maintenance tells us the airplane is unsafe. So we had to get off the airplane.
Oh, God. That happens
And,
all the time. I don't know how many unsafe planes they have.
and then we had to wait 3 hours with me pacing around to get a new airplane. Then I have to walk on the airplane, and we fly for another 5 hours to get home. And then I have to walk in the airport in San Jose to get the luggage, and then I have to get the luggage on Sabrina's nephew's car, and we drive back, and I walk into the house, and I called my folks while I was at one of the airports to say, hey, I lost these keys. Cut me a couple new ones from the Masters. So I get the keys from my folks. I crash. The thing is, a couple days later, after I get home, I'm walking through the bedroom by my sneakers, which I wore on the trip that I had to take off for TSA, where I lost the keys. I hear a click. And so I reach into the sneaker. These keys were in the sneaker. The sneaker I had worn for over 15 hours and never felt these keys in my sneaker.
Are they a good fit?
Yeah, they're the exact same size as my previous and the same brand. I have
Do you
no
have
idea.
do you have a sore toe?
No, I have no idea how these were in my sneaker, and I never noticed it.
Well, it's a mystery. Oh, it's a mystery. Maybe it was the machine elves.
I think it was the machine elves. Sabrina lost her wallet and got it back. I lost my keys and got them back.
I mean, it's really the only explanation.
It is. I actually wrote it up to the 14 Times Facebook group, and they published it.
They did?
Yes.
The Facebook group.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't see that one. I guess.
Okay. Amber's reminding me that she might need another artist for next week. So I will check my schedule, Amber. Their artist got COVID. So remember to mask, kids.
Oh, it's my
Unless you're
birthday
doing a
next
wedding.
week.
Yes, they actually offered masks at the wedding, but no one took them up on it.
Oh, not even you?
Nope. Nope. I didn't want to be masked for the photos. I thought I would risk death instead.
Oh, all right.
And I'm in the photos. My ugly
Yeah, they wanted to put you in the photos.
Yes, I am in the photos with the sock puppets.
All right, here's Noma.
Okay, now is the gnome strip just inked with the Pitt artist pen, or do you use a brush?
Yeah, I would use the brush to fill in a bit, but mostly I'm using just the bit because it's so small.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to work on Inktober when I was on the trip, but I was just so busy, and now that I'm back, I don't want to do it. I should sit down and just bust them out. I might do that today. I also have to decide if I'm going to stay here in this place that I'm renting across from the folks or get another place. And I'm 99% certain I'm just going to stay here because I don't want to pack. What are you going to do today after the show?
Go back to bed.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too.
I'm going to see some friends later in the East Bay.
Amber reminds me that because Amber and I have discussed my living situation, the pros of me living in the duplex across the street from my folks is that I'm close to be able to help them. The cons of living there across the street from my parents are that I'm close and I'm able to help them.
Ooh, I'm going to write a sitcom about your life called Everybody Loves Dale.
It is
And
true.
it's going to be about you living across the road from your parents, and they're going to sort of come around and drive you a bit crazy.
I refuse to let them into the duplex.
That's an episode right there.
Yeah, it's I don't want the bad juju. Oh, I didn't show you the super cool thing.
Oh, you showed me lots of super cool things.
Yeah, well, this is very super cool. I stacked them on a table next to me. I went over to Santa Cruz because I had to pick up the Sergio stuff that was in my box. And while I was there, I went to Comicopolis, a very nice game and comic shop in Santa Cruz. So if you go to Santa Cruz, you got to hit Atlantis Fantasy World and Comicopolis. But Comicopolis had a 1960s design Godzilla figure. And you can see the difference. Now, this is the goofy Godzilla, the one that would dance and fly through the air.
Oh,
This is the 50s design of Godzilla, King of the Monsters. And this
yeah.
is the goofy looking Godzilla. I'm very happy to have the goofy Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I like the buff Godzilla that we're seeing now in Godzilla -1. But my heart will always belong to Goofy Godzilla. But I was over at Atlantis Fantasy World, and I actually saw these at Laughing Ogre in Columbus, Ohio. Dark Horse,
Oh
Dark
my God.
Horse is reprinting Richard Corbin Den.
Oh, yeah, I have that.
And I just bought 3 of them and another Richard Corbin. So those of you know who Richard Corbin is, this is kind of a must buy. Those of you who don't know who
I read about the remastering. Like, they were never really able to print them in their full glory until now.
Oh, you mean color?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they basically they really very lovingly went back and did it all very carefully.
Well, I haven't opened the shrink wrap on them. I'm going to look at them probably today. And his death was a tragic loss. He was a master. And I remember seeing Den for the first time probably in the late 70s at a bookshop in Campbell, California, the Upstart Crow. And this is before I even knew what a graphic novel is. They had Den, and they also had Mouse by Art Spiegelman. And I'm like, wow, gigantic comic books.
All right, okay, that's all right. All right, that's a little late then, because I remember having Mouse. I went and got that in Reading, and I got a signed copy by Art Spiegelman. He signed it in Reading, England, which is just down the road from Basingstoke. I drove to Reading for the day to get it signed.
Oh, I'm envious.
That's one of the few times I ever did anything like that. I thought, I thought Art Spiegelman's coming to Reading. I better go.
I'm pretty sure he drew Mouse with a fountain pen on just regular paper.
Yeah, well, he did. He drew me a nice picture of his self character in the front of the book of the mouse. That's the journalist, and I was very impressed with how he did that at the time.
Amber's letting me know that when I look at the book, the reprints look amazing with the new color plates.
Of Den, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was amazing when I saw it as a kid, as a softback years and years ago.
Well, I remember the first time I came across Corman, it was in an issue of Heavy Metal. Like there was a kid. He was in the year above me, but he was quite friendly with him. He was the heavy metal kid. But he had I got friendly with him because of comics. He had sort of Freak Brothers and Heavy Metal and Judge Dredd and things like that. But I got read most of them first from his collection. I mean, I had some of my own comics, but we would swap them. But the Bodyssey. It was the Bodyssey was the one that I read first, which is sort of even more sexy than Den, really.
I miss. I should have read more Heavy Metal. I was into Marvel's Epic magazine, which is similar to Heavy Metal.
Yeah, it was quite similar. Yeah,
I love that magazine.
Yeah, those they would do some good books back in those days.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to reading the Dens. God, I think one of my favorites is his. I think it was Jan Sternad, or was it Harlan Ellison? He did a story based on the Arabian Nights,
I'm doing it,
which I thought was just an amazing graphic novel.
Yes.
And, and also when you're a prepubescent kid and you see Den for the first time with all these voluptuous women, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's an impact.
I mean, there's a way, he's got his own way of doing it. I mean, in some ways it's sort of so crude and doesn't really look like anything. And then other ways it's so vivid and lifelike. He's just, I guess he just sort of 100% commits to it.
Well, he would sculpt little maquettes that would assist him with the drawing. And
Really?
I remember when he did the 2-part graphic novel Brood, which was a science fiction graphic novel. He actually built a model of the spaceship that was in the graphic novel to use as reference. Before he passed away, I chatted with him briefly on Facebook. He had gotten into this 3D program called Sculptress, which was later.
Oh yeah, I mean he was quite early into that, and I was a bit like, "Oh, leave it alone."
Well, yeah, he was using some 3D apps to make backgrounds. He was into Bryce. He was doing.
Yeah, I mean, I know he did all sorts of experimental techniques and stuff, but I was just like, "No, you're too good. Don't waste it going on that."
He was doing stuff with Photoshop. I remember in one of his art books, he was describing how he was using Photoshop. But no, he was using Sculptress rather than making the stuff out of clay, because he would do it in Sculptress, and then he had a 3D printer or he had someone else 3D print it. So he was making maquettes and busts that way. That's one of the things. If I sign the lease and I stay close to my folks, I'm going to order a 3D printer.
All right.
My friends at the wedding asked me why, and I told them I want to make some obscene garden gnomes and leave them in people's yards.
All right. Well done. It's 11:54. I've finished.
Congrats.
There we go. Protected by charms and spells, the barbarian princess is revealed. She does not hesitate and turns to slay the beast. Take a chill pill, barbecue breath. Maybe that needs to say slice or something. So this is just to establish. I don't think slaying this ice worm here is not in itself particularly the inciting incident. I read somewhere that you should start your story with the inciting incident. This is just Tina going about her daily business.
Okay. Are you
It's
sure
going
it's not?
to happen very soon, but this is more by way of just like she's doing her business.
Are you sure this isn't some sort of Freudian call out?
No, I'm not sure of that at all.
Okay.
I'm in fact, I'm almost certain that that's what it is.
Yeah, this last panel just drips with castration and anxiety.
Oh, you should wait and see what's coming next.
Okay.
It's going to be a fun story. It's going to be fun now. Now Tina's going to go home, and we'll see where Tina lives, where she grew up.
Oh, I wanted to test something
And then
before.
right below, we've got Noma here. Noma says, "Right now, I'm still a half-wild suburban gnome. Soon I'll move to the big city and get a makeover. But for now, I still look like a choc, albeit a very sexy one."
Okay, I wanted to check something. I wanted to check something before we turn off the show because you had Amber come in and draw. I want to see what the lag is if I come in. Let's see if it's possible. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll crash the show. And I'm, of course, Amber thinks it's a very nice decapitation. It's Freudian as heck. Okay. Window, Clip Studio Paint, share. Can you see my screen? Is it coming up?
Hang on. Yeah. Okay. No, Sam's got it. There we go.
Okay, I'm going to draw a line.
You're drawing your Faustus character, your Faust character, not Faustus, but not Faust. Falstaff.
I'm going to draw a line and see if it updates in real time. So let me know because I'm not looking at the screen.
Yeah, it looks like pretty. Yeah, it looks pretty real time to me.
So it's updating in real time?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so I'm going to make a threat that someday I will draw on the show.
All right, I'm exhausted now. It's quite exhausting.
Oh, Amber says really pulls out the sword in the foreground. Do you need to do anything to the sword to make that more visible, or does Amber, you think that sword is visible?
Well, she says it looks like good shading on the underside of the beast. It brings the sword in the foreground. Yeah, that's the goal. Thank you, Amber.
Okay.
It's nice someone here can appreciate what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, I don't appreciate what you're doing.
Yes, Amber says read the comment above that comment. She says it has good shading on the underside of the beast. Very nice decapitation.
Amber, have I ever listened to you or done anything you suggested?
I was quite happy with the decapitation too. I thought I was quite pleased with that little panel. That was a nice little funny panel. That's good. Yeah, it starts a little drama. Sometimes I'll start things like a little more dramatic, as if I'm going to do something quite dramatic.
The ploods. I like the ploods of blood coming out of the neck.
Yeah, it's a little squirty. I guess it's sort of freezing as quick as it comes out. It doesn't have a lot of blood.
I totally forgot. God.
I was going to do some more snow. That's what I was going to do.
Remember how we talked about the Lexicon of Comicana by Mort Walker?
Yes. Emanata.
Yeah. According to Hogan's Alley Facebook group, and those of you who don't know what Hogan's Alley is, that's a magazine about cartooning. Brian Walker, Mort Walker's, I think, son, he intend to republish the lexicon of Kamehameha and update it.
Okay.
I don't know how much they're going to update. I asked if they were going to include manga symbols, but they didn't respond to me, or he didn't respond to me. But
Yeah, you probably just threw a massive spanner in the works by saying that. They probably
well,
hadn't
it should be
even
included.
manga. Now they're like, oh my god, we got to do manga as well. This is going to take forever.
Well,
Or should we do a separate manga one? Like now they're talking to publishers, we're going to do a manga one too. That's going to be very complicated.
Well, I think that if they're going to redo the lexicon of Kamehameha, that they should throw in the manga stuff, because manga has influenced cartooning in the United States.
Yeah. It's like the samurai movies, isn't it? They were based on westerns, and then the westerns became based on samurai movies.
Well, I was thinking more about like sushi restaurants.
Or sushi restaurants, sure.
I go to more sushi restaurants than watch samurai movies.
Well, some people like samurai movies. I mean, I've known a number of people who are very into samurai movies. I quite like samurai. I like Kurosawa. Kurosawa. The Hidden Fortress, definitely one of my favorite films.
This and sushi is pretty much my knowledge. Oh, and Japanese fountain pens is my knowledge of Japan.
All right, I think I'm done with the show now.
No, let's stay.
Yes, it is 12. It is 12.
Yeah, it's time to go. Thank you, everybody. We did a good show today. Look at that page of Pewfell, new Pewfell.
Yes, looks like a very nice page.
We had puppets.
All right. All I have to do is keep the standard up now for the next few years. It takes a while, but it's coming along. I'm actually getting it done. It's hard to believe it. It's been in my head for so long.
Well,
all right.
Nuts.
All right. Well, bye. Thanks to the Magma Bear. Thanks to Amber. Check out Amber's light shows tonight. She's going to be on the Cartoonist Northwest and doing her own Philo show. So check that out. We'll be back next week with a special birthday show.
And puppets.
Doing more Pewfell. Don't know if the Magma Bear is going to be back.
The rabbit
you might have more political messages, but they seem to all involve which candidates are going to taste the best. You can either go for a nice, healthy Kamala or a big old plate of junk food. All right. Okay. Well, on that bombshell, I'm going to play the theme tune. Bye.
Bye, kids.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelan Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelan is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Be on the Chuck Whelan Show. Whoa, 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 whoa.
If you're gonna have a show, you gotta have